the Kings need to go while being as respectful as he could possibly be to those currently in charge of the Kings. You mentioned that, in your view, Kings could use an upgrade at the 2, at the shooting guard. How likely do you think it is that when Kevin Huerter recovers, that maybe he can be the Kevin Huerter who averaged 15 a game and shot 40% from threes 2 seasons ago?
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible because he's a young guy and he did not have a good year, relatively speaking, compared to last year. And he's a proven NBA guy. I know when he was in Atlanta, he was a real key contributor to a team that went to the Eastern Finals.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys have little off years for different reasons. So, he's like, quite honestly, people say trade him. Well, sure, you should trade him if you get somebody better. If you can't get somebody better, you don't trade him.
Isn't this a bad time to trade him because his value is about as low as it's ever going to be?
Yeah, I would say generally speaking, and that's what probably. I mean, certainly Monty and his staff knows that what the value is and that sort of thing. But yeah, having said that, I mean, yeah, you'd like, as good as Kevin has been, you would still like somebody better if you could get him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that makes you better, makes your bench better, makes you certainly more of a contender. And same way, I like Trey Lyles, but you would like somebody, if you could get somebody better than Trey, why wouldn't you want to do that? Now, It's easy to say, hard to do, as we know.
How about maybe at the 4 spot, HB, maybe same type of situation where valuable player helps you, but if you could upgrade there, that'd be a good idea?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think, Harrison's probably, I won't say he's totally on the downslide, but he's at the age where he's not going to really get better.
If he's on the back 9,
he's on the back 9.
He's maybe on 14 or 15.
He is probably teeing off on 15 right now.
Yeah,
and
so you got 4 holes left.
Yeah. I know he's to me, and I think he would benefit by being an off the bench guy where you could play him at a couple positions. He's smart. He's a great teammate. A lot to like there.
Has played a lot out of position here, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. Yeah,
which he doesn't get any credit for.
No, well, he doesn't get credit for anything, really.
No.
And he's brought some of it on himself. I do think he allows himself to kind of blend in without being more demanding of the ball in certain situations, things like that. So, but anyway, that's also part of it. I think the Kings need to really strengthen their bench. Now, certainly if they could strengthen a couple of starting positions, then their bench becomes very good, because some of the very same guys that we think aren't quite what you want as starters would be very good reserves.
And of course, the problem with that is, while that's certainly true, there's every chance you're going to lose your best bench player, who also happens to be about your 3rd best player. And then, your needs suddenly increase. If Malik leaves, all of a sudden you're really over a barrel.
You really are, because you can't really replace him. You might then all of a sudden you might be able to replace him to some degree with that exception. But that doesn't make you, you probably haven't replaced him, but you've sort of replaced him. And now you still got the other weakness.
Yes. It's like, we're bringing you in. You can do some of what Malik does, but someone else is going to have to do the rest of what Malik does.
Yeah. Now, one of the real hopes is, quite honestly, is the 13th pick. I mean,
I'm glad you mentioned that. Pardon me for interrupting, but a lot of people have been saying, the pick, maybe they traded. I don't know. I think Bobby Marks last week put something together where he talked about this could be an asset. And that's the way I've been looking at it. 13th pick for a team that is a little strapped in terms of their, how you can go out and get players. And I'm not saying you're going to go out and get, Anthony Edwards or Wembanyama, but there's a chance you get a player who's going to help you there.
Oh, well, and there's been major stars there. I mean, I'm sadly old enough to remember some of the guys that were taken, 13, 14 lower, like John Stockton, Karl Malone.
Kawhi was even a little later, I think.
Yeah, he was like 15. Adetokounmpo, a guy named Jokic, he was 41.
That's right, yeah.
Jalen Brunson was like 28.
You know what I think happened? Don't you think, Jerry, that, fans especially, we get in our minds, we hear, oh, it's a weak draft. Then you think, a weak draft, 13th pick, there's nothing there. Well, no one knows really whether it's a weak draft or not until 3 or 4 years from now at least.
Well, no, there may not be LeBron James, there may not, be in this draft, but that doesn't really affect 13.
Right.
Because the 13th guy could be every
Yes.
bit as good as the second guy. Because there's, in other words, just not that much of a gap. And I think what few scouts I've talked to, that would be kind of like, you could get the second or third best guy at 20.
Yeah.
Easy.
That's what scouts are saying about this draft?
Yeah. There's a lot of players. Well, the Kings can benefit from a player. So it's still an asset. You just, no, I don't think you should expect it at Kumpo, but
he's got a lot of brothers, so I don't know. You got to be
careful. They're not quite him either.
No. Yeah, I'm with you because of all the talk, like I say, of that pick, they're going to trade that. I think a lot of people just have this sense, maybe they're right, that the Kings are going to take as much as they can. The pick, Barnes, Huerter, Davion, couple number ones, and they're going to trade them off for the greatest player in history. And I don't know that player is available right now.
I don't believe it is. And then, then the other part of it is like some of the, pay attention like everybody is like, well, the free agents. Well, Paul George, who's going to get Paul George? Well, I don't know. He's really good. Do you want to pay $50 million a year for 3 or 4 years for a guy that
he's so far turning down overtures from the Clippers? So far, he may go unrestricted free agent.
But I mean,
the Kings couldn't afford him anyway, though, right?
No. I mean, you'd love to have him if you knew he'd be available to play all the time and things like that. It's like Jimmy Butler. I mean, I think the Kings don't want to get into a situation like the Phoenix Suns where they got 3 guys making $50 million a year, and quite honestly, Bradley Beal's not really nearly good enough.
Yeah. I'm glad you say that because we had a discussion on the show last week about Bradley Beal. Kings should try to get Bradley Beal. Wait, why would the Kings want Bradley Beal? I don't get that, Jerry. I wouldn't want Bradley Beal.
I don't see what he would how he would improve the team much. Certainly, if you could get him and they pay $45 million of his $50 million, you might consider that. But the biggest problem with Bradley is he just can't stay healthy. I mean, so being a really good player 40 games a year, I don't think feeds a bulldog very well.
Speaking of Jimmy Butler, before we get back to the Kings, Jimmy Butler caused a bit of a flap over the weekend. He said the Celtics would be at home if he was available to play in the series. He, of course, injured his knee during a play-in tournament, lost to the Sixers. And if he was playing on the Sixers instead of the Heat, they wouldn't have lost to the Knicks in the first round. Pat Riley said, if you're not on the court playing against Boston, you should keep your mouth shut.
Pat Riley cuts to the chase. No, I think Jimmy's words are ringing very hollow of late.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole year, I mean, he had 10 great games and 30 or 40 walkabouts in the regular season.
He's paying a price, right? I mean, physically he's wearing down.
I think we've seen the best of Jimmy Butler. I really believe that.
That's pretty good.
And he's really good. And if you could, here again, if I'm Philly, if I could get him for maybe not a long-term deal, I might consider it, But I mean, you got Joel limping around, and who knows how much wear is on those tires. It looks like quite a bit. So anyway.
Yeah, the league's getting younger, isn't it? It seems like
younger, and I think that's well. I mean, that's Oklahoma City, Minnesota, certainly the Celtics are a fairly young team. So
I believe of the top 10 payrolls in the league, because the Clippers are out now, right? So I think there's only 3 teams in the top 10 that are still playing.
Wow,
Boston, the Knicks, and pardon me, I can't. The other one. Would it be Dallas? Anyway, I think there's only 3 in the top 10. And of the 15 most highly compensated players, there's only about 5 or 6, I think, that are still playing. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. And we've talked about before. I mean, it's clearly a changing of the guard when Curry, LeBron, and Durant aren't in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And you'd have to say, and I would say that they're not capable of leading a team as a contender again. I think the days of those guys being the best player on a championship contender are probably over.
So would that suggest then that for the Kings, staying as young as you can while you're getting better is really important, and maybe making a big swing on an older guy who's going to cost a lot of money might not be the best way to go? Maybe that's taking one of those shortcuts that typically doesn't work, other than everybody gets excited until the season starts.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Because I think this team has got a 4 or 5 year window probably. So why would you want to take and now to me, if it's a 27, 28-year-old guy, I wouldn't hesitate there because here again, it fits your window.
Yeah.
If you think they can be productive players to 31 or 2 or 3 years old, which probably can if they work hard and take care of themselves. So, but as far as getting that 32, 33-year-old guy or even 30-year-old guy that has missed a lot of games the last 2 or 3 years, well, you don't have to be a math major to figure out that, wait a minute, this isn't heading the right direction for this guy.
Right. My sources tell me that there's one big name that Jerry thinks the Kings might be wise to look into. We'll get into that when we come right back. Also get back to the phones at, as you know, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. It's The Drive, guys, Monday.